Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all of you. Thanks for joining from all over the world, right from San Francisco till Melbourne. For some of you, it's very early in the morning. For some, it's busy. You are in the middle of the busy schedule. And of course, for some, it's past midnight now. Welcome to this global event of Women in Data hosted by Kolkata chapter. Today's topic is leading sustainable ecosystems, and we are privileged to have Mr. Dinanath Kholkar who will address us in this subject. Before I introduce and invite our eminent speaker, I would like to take the opportunity and introduce all of you briefly to Women in Data, especially those of you who are for the first time attending this forum. Women in Data is a non-profit organization with a mission to increase diversity in data careers, and we provide awareness, education, and advancement to women in data analytics, in data science, in machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Predominantly till 2019, we were more based out of US only. But in 2020, we have grown across 11 countries. We are now 35 chapters and we have around 11,000 plus members globally. And thanks to Sadi, thanks to Denny, Rajvi, and many more women leaders in Women in Data whose passion and enthusiasm has really made this happen. I'm Sudeshna. I'm the chapter lead of Women in Data for Kolkata, India. Kolkata chapter was the first India chapter which was founded in March this year. And since then, we are having a very exciting time. We have opened many more chapters in India, like Rupa leading Trivandrum, Shilpa leading the Chennai chapter, Anindita in Bangalore. We have Vandana from Mumbai, and we do have many more coming up soon. I'm very happy to say that they are all with me today in this session, and in the near future, you will hear more from them and on their chapter events. And we would like to welcome all of you to join us in this data and diversity journey. Be volunteers, be members in all our chapters and make the chapters successful, and also help us in build up new chapters in new cities and in new countries. It's really an honor for me to introduce Mr. Dinanath Kholkar, though Dina needs no introduction in the world of data and diversity. Many of you already know him. Dina is the global head for analytics and insights in Tata Consultancy Services. He has been recognized as one of the top 100 influential global data leaders and data visionaries. As one of the champions of diversity and inclusion, he is already part of many initiatives, but today I would specifically want to mention that he has been a pillar of support and guidance for not only me, but many women leaders and data and diversity enthusiasts to volunteer for leading similar initiatives in data and diversity in India as well as across the globe. He also provides leadership guidance and strategic direction in the field of education, sustainability, and data for good through his volunteering work at IEEE Pune section. And right now, he's also the chair of industry relations in IEEE Pune section. After his talk, we will have a Q&A session, and I would like to request the audience to put the questions in the chat window from now and also put their likes on that, and we can answer them after the session. Dina, welcome to Women in Data, and over to you.
Thank you, Sudeshna, and it's a great privilege to be part of this event. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this session. I would just take a couple of seconds to get my screen up and running. Right. So I thought it should be a good topic to talk about sustainability and how the Women in Data Forum can actually play a very significant role in what we are seeing across the globe. So I thought it'll be good to give you a view of what is really happening in the entire sustainability space from a corporate world, as well as looking at it overall, what are the changes which are happening, and probably given the last 6 to 8 months of trying times that businesses and in general society has seen globally, I feel that it's a good time for us to reflect upon some of these things and then see how we can actually play an active role. So my session I will cover in three parts. I will talk about how large organizations have been, coping up to the current challenges in COVID times and probably post-COVID times. And primarily, these are all experiences that we have been going through with our customers within our organizations. I'll talk about that. Then I will delve into the topic of sustainability and focus my discussions around the sustainable development goals that the UN has laid down, and what does it really mean to all of us as leaders, and specifically opportunities which each one of you can actually participate in. And at the end, I will talk about a few experiences and examples that I have seen from close quarters. And the reason I wanted to put that up is because if we have been able to do it and a pocket of excellence has been created through that effort, I do feel that the Women in Data initiatives can actually pick up one or more of those in their respective chapters and take it to scale. So that's the broad outline of what I'm going to cover. So let me start off with talking about what we are seeing across the board. Given that I head the analytics and insights business for TCS, we've been working with many of our global clients and helping them get through the various situations and challenges that we have faced. And I've just picked up few areas. The core to it is everybody is keen to know, what is the type of impact would be there from a economic point of view, from a point of view of the supply chains that are getting impacted. What are the type of changes which will happen to the business models? How do businesses come out? I've been working with one of our large market research clients, which is actually uncovering a lot of insights about what's really happening across the globe. That's one of the examples. The banking industry is playing a very critical role. Pretty much, even though the lockdowns have been affected across the board, the banks have been pretty much running, and we've seen a lot of opportunities to help the banks, be it their entire risk management framework itself. Many of the models had to be redone given the unprecedented times that they are faced with. Also, in specifically in the US, when you have the PPP dispersal, that is the Paycheck Protection Program dispersal, various types of insights and analytics to actually drive what is the best way to do the dispersals. Retail as an industry has gone through a significant amount of change, especially the buying patterns of people, especially people started working from home. The apparel industry, the type of things that they would require from a products point of view, the forecasting around the food and beverages, a lot of panic buying initially, which set up, and it was all in the press that many of you would have seen. How do you actually help many of these customers redo their entire forecasting models? So all of these things have been a very significant play that we have seen. And what has really played a role is the agility and the adaptability that we have had to enable these customers with. The next dimension I want to talk about is within TCS, a very large organization, 450,000 plus global employees, and getting them, a large part of them, to work from home in a very, very short time window, which was the March 2020 window. And obviously we had a heads up because of the fact that we had operations in China, so we were pretty much preparing for the eventuality. But pretty much getting into a remote way of working through our patented SBWS, which is the secure borderless workspaces, and a complete transformation in the way people would work, interact, a lot of data being collected, a lot of analytics being done on the overall, be it the secure workspaces, be it the type of connectivity that we required, the resilience that is required in the organizations, and things like that. A lot of things. Also safety aspects for people, ensuring that those of them who had to come to office, they were taken care from a safety perspective. Plus, one of the biggest things that we did was to focus on wellness, because people having to work in a completely different environment, we focused a lot on workforce analytics, on looking at wellness as a theme. Plus a lot of first timers, for an Indian conglomerate to actually completely adopt a virtual AGM setup for their entire annual general body meetings of the shareholders was first of its kind. So a lot of things we enabled, and the teams played a very critical role. So very key theme out here was, how does an organization depict that resilience when it goes through such a dramatic change in a very short time window. Then it is all about how we react to the situation, and obviously, the Tata Group and TCS is known for its commitment to the community, and the purpose-driven nature that the Tata Group depicts showed the contribution that we made towards the fight against COVID-19. Our contributions through the Tata Trust, as well as the announcements that we made at Tata Sons level on various fronts, and they were across the board, helping out the government, helping out all of the agencies which were involved in either research, either in providing the entire set of equipments which were required. So a lot of help came forward through the larger group itself, and that definitely made a big statement that we are there in side by side with the administration to help the entire the journey and fight against COVID. Beyond that, we also need to demonstrate what we can do as the type of capabilities that we have in our organization, and a lot of focus on innovation. And we are working very closely with a lot of the medical institutions, innovating on finding out different types of compounds for treatment of COVID-19. The research labs that we have been very actively involved. In addition to that, we have launched indigenous kit for COVID testing. Till recently, we were importing a lot of the COVID testing kits, but we have developed in collaboration with one of the research setups in India, developed a product called Feluda, and that has been launched very recently, and it will pretty much bring down the overall time frame which requires to do these tests and also be able to scale up. Plus the existing kits which were there, we decided to go ahead and manufacture or enable the entire manufacturing indigenously. And my teams played a very critical role in enabling the entire supply chain and creating a platform with the data marketplace setup that we have. More importantly, one of the sectors which was big time impacted was the education sector, and TCS plays a very significant role with the ION platform. And we pretty much made the ION platform free for all the students and colleges to leverage, so that they can take the advantage of using the platform in a significant manner to help develop these skills, bridge some of the gaps that the students had. So very clearly, our commitment with innovation and agility was very clearly seen. So the reason I bring this out is when we look at organizations in the new beginning, this is the statement that we made as an organization, which is on our business 4.0 framework. Organizations need to be purpose driven, they need to be resilient, and they need to show the adaptability. And it sort of topped up the entire framework that we've been driving for our customers in the business 4.0 or the industry 4.0 era. So, looking at this aspect, and looking at sustainability, which is all about people, it is all about profits, it's all about the planet. And I thought it will be good to give a perspective from our industry and how we look at this in a very critical manner, and how do we look at sustainability in the context of our businesses. And that's where I decided to give you a quick view of how we have gone through these last 6 months, helping our customers, helping the nation, helping the community, helping our own employees, helping out various initiatives through innovation and product development, things that we have been able to deliver. Let's shift gears and look at, while all of that is great, we still with a lot of challenges, and its challenges are pretty global, and the environment is still at a serious risk. And this was a slide I had actually presented earlier this year. I was one of the keynote speakers at a Society for Data Science event, annual conference that they have in India. And I had put up this slide, and the topic was around how data can actually play a very significant role, and how data scientists and people in the field of data analytics and AI can contribute. And I had put up this slide saying that, look, while all of the other things are looking great, there is a great deal of concern that is there. And I'm sure some of you who are logging in from the West Coast in the US, especially California, have just come out of some of the worst of the forest fires, and we've seen this across the globe. And there are various other challenges that we will see as we go deeper into each of these issues as such. So what is happening in the world is about the rollout of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And if you have not seen this or not read about it, it is high time you get involved into understanding it. The reason is we all who are data professionals can play a very significant role in enabling one or more of these Sustainable Development Goals. This is something which UN has rolled out, and there are 17 goals. 16 of them are core goals, and 17th one is actually a partnership for these goals so that they can work together in a collaborative manner. And while the entire situation was unfolding, one of the premier scientists of India actually made a statement that possibly we need to add a 18th goal, which is to make a digital as a birthright, or a fundamental right for every individual who is on this planet, because a lot of things are getting rolled out digitally, and if we don't have them digitally enabled, they will not be able to avail a lot of things which are getting rolled out. So that's for the UN Sustainable Goals. I would encourage each one of you to take a look at what this means and develop an interest in areas where you have the expertise in, and then make contributions towards it. So what are different organizations doing in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals, and each one of them, and I've just picked up few of these customers. Some of them are our customers, some of them are large organizations, some of them are our partners, and each one of them have put up very aspirational goals for their sustainability related topics that they're working on. And I'll just call out a few of them. Unilever, for example, one of the largest conglomerate, they have put together an overall aspiration of zero water and zero plastics. And given their type of products, soaps and shampoos and other things, it really looks very, very aspirational and audacious. But the type of things that they have laid out is absolutely amazing. Same as with Microsoft, which is looking at being carbon neutral by 2030. And some of these efforts that they are driving towards, I've just been reading about their, the underwater data centers and various techniques that they are using to look at energy saving and green energy related stuff. I think it's really amazing, and so on and so forth. There are various other organizations, but I'm sure each one of your organizations that you represent or partner with or work with will have something to do on the sustainability goals. And sustainability clearly has become a board level agenda. And it's the reason I highlight this is that we see the organizations very conscious about it, being very vocal about it, being able to take it right up to the top of their house, and then leaders driving this from the front. So this is a big topic for the organizations to drive. Closer to home, and these are some of the things which the Tata Group companies are doing. And very interestingly, I just picked this up from one of the reports which was published by the Tata Sustainability Group, and their focus was primarily on the biodiversity. Each of these companies that I've listed out here, these are all the Tata Group companies, and these are pictures from their ecosystem, and the ecosystem is very much in their campuses or the cities or the areas where they are located. And their focus has been on biodiversity and supporting the overall biodiversity. So there are organizations which are taking very specific goals on what they can do within their campuses. So I'm based in Pune. We have one of the largest campuses in the country, which is close to about 35,000 people working on the campus. And it's one of the most greenest of campuses that you can ever get across India and probably across the globe. And we take pride in that, and I believe that there's a lot more opportunity that can be looked at. There is a lot of citizen movement which is happening, and I'm sure we are all aware of what Greta Thunberg is doing, creating the consciousness, creating awareness, and coming from youngsters, it's really touches a large population. And there is a lot of effort which is going into creating that visibility, getting people to appreciate what it really means when you say carbon emissions. What does it really mean? What does impact it has? What does one travel mean? An air travel means to you, and how do you actually look at green energy and various things. So there are various aspects that she and the entire movement has been talking about, and there are many such Greta Thunbergs which are developing across the globe. When I interact with youngsters, when I talk to them about sustainability, I absolutely see a lot of awareness, and it coming right from the school level itself is very heartening. And I believe that that really is a good sign for us, because they are really demanding what we should do for them, because they are the future. They are looking at what is the planet going to be in the future for them. They want to ensure that we are guaranteeing them a better planet in the future. So that's a very good and very high impactful initiative that is happening across the globe. Take a step back, look at now in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals and some of these things that I talked about, what organizations are doing. If you look at each of the attribute of these goals that they have set up, it is very clearly intentional. It is not just talk only. Everybody wants to walk the talk, very much intentional. As I mentioned, it is very ambitious. They're very consistent in about what they are saying and ensuring they report on each of these goals that they have laid down. It is very collaborative in nature, because you have to work with the ecosystem in which you operate. And also they have the accountability towards each of these ambitions that they have laid down. And obviously data plays a very critical role. And the reason I mentioned that is each of these organizations have their reporting, the sustainability report. I would encourage each one of you to look at your own organization sustainability report. You would see that there is a lot of data that they depend on. The data largely comes from a lot of research reports, a lot of open data which is there out there. There is a lot of data crunching which needs to be done, and we have very clearly defined measurable goals, various initiatives, technology interventions, digital transformations that we are doing within our organizations to actually help us get to some of those goals. So very clearly, data will play a very significant role. And there are organizations like the Global Reporting Initiatives, GRI, and various others who are defining some of these standards for sustainability reporting. And it will play a very critical role for us to actually look at what does each organization does on the sustainability goals that they are working on, they are driving, and they are accountable for. So the reason I bring this up is each one of you have the potential to actually play a role in this particular area, to understand this, be party towards some of these efforts, create working groups. And as I mentioned, there are 16 different goals which are there. Each one of you might have different interest, but it is absolutely something which we as leaders in the industry should look at very seriously. So what does it mean from a data perspective to the organizations is all about how mature are they about the data in their organization, the data in the ecosystem. And here is a very interesting chart. These bubbles on this chart actually represent many of my customers, and they represent each bubble is a customer, and the size of the bubble is the size of that particular organization. And the color is representing the industry. The left side is less maturity, right side is high maturity. And you can see that the customers that we work with still have a long way to go to reach to the right side of higher maturity. And what it means is that unless they get to a higher level of maturity, and unless they have the ability to actually use this data effectively, achieving some of their goals would become a challenge. And hence we encourage many organizations to ensure that data becomes a board level agenda. And given that data is becoming a board level agenda, there is a lot of focus on data literacy in the organization. It is an important aspect for many of you on this forum to actually aspire to become part of boards. And this is something which one of our senior leaders in India who runs the Women in Leadership Forum, she has taken it up on herself to look at how we can actually encourage women leaders to be part of boards. And we have been working with them very closely to ensure that we build up the next level leaders who can be part of the board agenda. So it's an opportunity, given that sustainability and data are very critically linked, and the fact that all of you are data experts, it is an opportunity for you to aspire to be on boards of companies because one, they want women representation, they want diversity on the board, they want experts in the field of data, they want experts in the field of sustainability. Hence, it's a great opportunity. So I'm pretty much highlighting this as an opportunity for each one of you, because I get the questions being asked as to what are the type of options which are there, what type of expertise which are required in this particular area, and how can we play a very critical role in this context. So there are forums, and the Women in Data is absolutely one of the forums we are supporting, and we would look at creating chief data officer forums. We would look at participating in open data policy related initiatives, as well as various things that we do for our customers. And how important it is. I just took a quote from one of our from our chairman and his teams, which he's driving at the conglomerate at the Tata Group level, where he talks about this. So it's not just about my perspective. It is also the chairmans of the boards who are talking about this topic, about how data centricity and how data is very critical. And in his word, he says that he tells the companies that process maturity is no longer your day job. Your day job is now data maturity. And we have been working very closely with some of the organizations within the Tata Group to actually help them through the data maturity journey. And we definitely see this coming as a very strong play at the board level, and hence the opportunity for the Women in Data Forum itself to participate and drive some of these things very interestingly. So what does this mean, and how does this translate into each one of us and in the data community, and specifically for the women in data leaders out here, is that you need to look at the change in mindset. You need to look at sustenance driven mindset, understand what this really means. And I was reading a very interesting article and a very good report which talked about at least 3 or 4 countries where the country was led by a women leader, either a president or a prime minister, and they had handled the entire COVID crisis very effectively. And one of the things that they talk about is about the mindset that women leaders have around sustainability, around the empathy aspect of it, various aspects which you see over here on this chart. There are specific skills which are very clearly differentiating. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is that you have a very strong edge, you have a differentiated capability, make the most of it, build on top of it, look at what are the opportunities that you can grab as you go forward. And I felt that you should look at this chart as to what does it require, what is the type of things you would need to contribute to if you are a responsible leader who is managing sustainable business, driving growth and transformation in the context of these businesses. What are the things that you need to do, be it responsible sourcing, responsible investments, sustainable supply chains, green product lines, the responsible governance that is required. It's not just about saying that you will do it, but you need to have the governance to ensure that you're making progress, and the collaboration aspects, building new partnerships. And I would say that Women in Data is a fantastic platform and a forum. And many organizations should look at, if we build up this as a focus area, they should look at Women in Data could be a good partnership setup that we can look at. As I was mentioning, as Sudeshna mentioned, I play a very active role in IEEE, and I have been talking to some of my IEEE colleagues, including our Women in Data, Women in Engineering Society, which the affinity group which is there, to tell them that, look, here is an opportunity where you can participate. It's not just about the Women in Engineering group, but also in the broad perspective, the IEEE various societies which are there, because they can play a role in various of these areas. So very clearly, I would say that leadership is very critical. Understanding the sustainability aspect, developing that sustainable mindset and the data-oriented mindset is critical. And understanding how new orders as far as the enterprise is concerned will come into play, and how you can actually play a very active role. So given these aspects, one is what we have done, what is the things that we see in the market. I thought let me make it a little bit more focused on making it action oriented. And these are, I felt, things that we have done over the last 2 years. And some very interesting possibilities came out of these initiatives. And each of these initiatives, me or my teams have been very actively involved with. So rather than just talking about things, I said, let me share some of our experiences. And if we have done it, what is the probability that you can replicate it? What are the things that we can share with you so that you can actually pick it up and replicate it in your city, in your chapter, or in your region? I think that is absolutely something we will look at. And given the criticality of the entire topic around sustainability and especially around the climate change, I think it's time to actually blur the boundaries, go away from looking at competition and then looking at it from an arm's length distance. You need to look at an ecosystem that needs to be created where we will have partners, competitors come together to address some of these things. So let me give you a view of these 6 areas. So the first one is a very interesting research project which we did, which was on high performance digital organizations. And the focus was on the Netherlands market. And we wanted to look at how does data maturity and business effectiveness correlate. And we went in with the hypothesis that if you have a high level of maturity in your data, then you will have a better handle on the business effectiveness. So about 62 different organizations participated. They were our customers, they were our prospects, they were organizations in Netherlands who are either from the government or the research setups. And this was anchored in Tilburg University. This research is very much available. If you do a search on HPDO and TCS, you'll find this report online, and we'll have this link shared with all of you. It is available. The objective was to look at what is the data ecosystem within a country. And one of our objectives was to look at scaling it up in the context of EU. And we have seen a lot of interesting things coming out around data marketplaces, around data democratization, data monetization, data literacy, all of these aspects. We've started to see a lot of interest from within the organizations and the specific research that we did. And we're now in the process of replicating this. We're already in discussions with doing it in UK. We've already had discussions doing it in other locations, be it Belgium, be it the Nordics, be it Japan, be it Australia, be it New Zealand, be it in India, be it in the US, Canada, even in Brazil. So very clearly, there is an opportunity to replicate this type of research. Two things I would say as an opportunity. It is creates the community of people who are experts in data, potentially involves academia and gets them to realize that there is a lot of potential to offer programs like these for the students. And it's a good blend between core data and technology related stuff, AI related stuff, and to data maturity and to business related things. So it can be a good blend between business and technology in the larger context. So it's absolutely a replicable research project. The second one I would like to talk about is a publication that we rolled out about a year and a half back. It is called Parivartana. Parivartana in Sanskrit means a change or a transformation. And we looked at the role of data and analytics in social transformation. So very focused on social transformation. Again, if you search for Parivartana and TCS, you will find this entire publication online. We focused on 4 different areas: public health and well-being, policy and governance, the green economy, and technology and innovation. And we had asked for people across the globe to participate and contribute in form of articles in each of these themes. And it's a fantastic collection of articles. And we were able to build up a lot of partnerships building this. One of the partnerships that we built on the Data for Good initiatives itself was very good. And we built partnerships with various organizations, be it social enterprises, not-for-profit organizations, and various government initiatives which are driving some of these things in a big way. So again, collecting some of these stories, publishing this itself could be a good thing. Because we see a lot of non-profits, not-for-profits operating across the globe. The ones which use data very effectively have been very, very successful, and they need a lot of guidance. They need technology help. They need understanding of what they can do with data, how the role of data analytics and AI plays a very significant role in social transformation is very clearly understood through understanding some of these stories. So I would encourage you to look at this. And if we have done it, this was largely anchored by my team, but we have contributions across the globe. We had contributions from the Middle East, we had contributions from UK, from Europe, from the US, across various different sectors. In the industries, we had our competitors participate in it, and we had one of our partners participate in it. So very good perspective that we were able to create using this platform of Parivartana. The third is our own digital impact square. This is a very interesting setup that TCS has created in partnership with MIT and the local administration in a city called Nashik in India. And the digital impact square is a sort of an incubation cell for startups. But these startups are primarily focused on becoming change makers for the society. And we actually incubate them for almost 6 months, giving them a lot of guidance, coaching. So you actually see some of these setups out here. This is actually the digital impact square where we house many of these folks who are, team themselves up and create these startups. And they focus on very interesting areas. And we've been then enabling them, incubate them, and then enable them through a complete business case creation, introducing them to various organizations who look at partnering along with them or investing into them, helping them build the entire journey for themselves. So again, why am I highlighting this is an setups. And when I look at it, most of these guys do a lot of stuff with the data and AI in a big way. And the opportunity is for us as people who have expertise to actually be mentors for them, to guide them, handhold them through their journey. And you'll see in most of the cities, you will find a very active and thriving startup ecosystem. There could be youngsters from colleges, there could be youngsters who look for guidance, and with our inputs, they could potentially be able to focus on what they are doing in a much better way. So that's as far as the incubation cell and the startup ecosystem is concerned. More focused at given it a bit of a focus on the digital impact that it can create for the social transformation. The next is on smart cities, and when I looked at the number of chapters that which are there for women in data, most of the work that we are doing is in the urban areas. The chapters are very focused in the cities, and each of these cities is focusing on the smart city program. In India itself, we have about 110 cities which have signed up for the smart city mission that we have rolled out in the country, and we've also looking at how can we help these smart city programs. So one of the things that we have done is the Tata Trust actually supports the smart city mission, and through the Tata Trust, one of our former employees is actually now the chief data officer for the city of Pune. And IEEE Pune section, and especially the Computer Society, has been helping them by running data hackathons on various problems that they have. They have a lot of data, but they don't know how to use the data effectively, what type of insights you can get from the data and can help the administration. So there are some of the experts from IEEE Computer Society, as well as some of the my colleagues who actually participate in these hackathons. And the hackathons are largely done with students of engineering, and also some of the startups which are there. And we absolutely look at opportunities to help the administration through the insights that we are able to generate. So very interesting project, that hackathon that they had done around green cover in the city, pollution in the city, and correlation around it, to come up with very specific interventions that they can do on tree plantation, or creating clinics where they could actually do testing for breathing or respiratory illnesses which would come because of less trees and high pollution. So very interesting propositions that they came up with through this type of an hackathon. And then there are various other things. The open data sets have been enabled for these smart cities. And one of the things which we did was we said, let's look at building up connects through the either through a smart city smart city program which are there globally in different locations, And we had the opportunity to build up a connect with the city of Austin, which happens to be a sister city for Pune. And most of the cities across the globe have some sister city connection. It is always a good thing to relate to that city and then be able to work together on some of these projects. So we had done a hackathon across UT Austin and a few colleges which are part of the Pune University, and focused on initiatives which are very specific to the smart city program. So that's the opportunity again, participating in some of these initiatives, helping out the administration, helping out the smart city program, building up partnerships. If you are having a connect with the, are aware of which are the smart cities or the sister cities which are there, you can use that as a good connect between the women in data chapters. When we talk about the urban area, we can't ignore the rural area and the large part of rural India and many parts of the world. There is a lot of focus on agriculture. Agriculture is all about data science, and when we went deeper into this particular area, TCS has been doing a lot of work in this area with our data scientists and our CSR program. And my team has been involved very closely, and we then decided to pick up this as a theme and create a special interest group on affordable agriculture for the farmers in India, and look at various things, bringing in innovation, bringing in looking at digital technologies, bringing in education as a mechanism to upgrade the knowledge of the farmers, to look at providing them different mechanisms to have them access data effectively and stuff like that, build up the ecosystems. And obviously, we touch about 5 or 6 of the sustainable development goals through this. And the projects that we have done, again, there is a video on the TCS Global channel, YouTube channel, on the project that we had done along with IEEE, a very high impactful project. There are 2 districts in the state of Maharashtra where we have made a very high impact. And if you talk to the farmers, they really have learned a different way of doing things, and they are progressing very well. And despite of all the challenges that they have faced in the lockdown, they have used the digital technologies, they have used various innovative techniques to be able to come upfront on making a difference in their businesses around agriculture. And the last is about open data. And I'm very passionate about this particular topic, more because there is a lot of open data in the context of climate change. Are we really aware of what are these open data sets? Are we really participating in it? Are we having our organizations look at this seriously and drive this? One of the things which I do is whenever I've been offering internships, and I have a focus group which looks at this as an area around sustainability and sustainable ecosystems and sustainability related data and analytics. And we've been offering internships to students because you have access to a lot of open data sets, and they can potentially use this and do something much more meaningful as against just focusing on business related outcomes. They can learn and do things, and they can start as early as being in the first year or the second year. Once they start learning to do Python programming and some of the basics of data structures and stuff like that, they are well aware of, they can actually get up and going on this. So all in all, I feel that all of these are, as I said, these are areas that I have worked in. I have been very closely associated with it. So having done it, been there, seen the type of results, I just thought I'll just put some of these things, and I would love to hear things that are happening globally so that we can learn from you and also replicate this as part of some of these initiatives that are being driven. And very clearly, I would say that each one of you has the opportunity to pick up something, create a sort of a working group or a forum in your organizations or in your alumnus group or in your chief data officer forum or women in data chapter. Look at these possibilities of creating a community which can make a very telling impact and a clearly measurable impact to whatever is happening in the community. And you'll obviously feel proud about what you have accomplished when you look down the years. Finally, I just wanted to call out the fact that we're very supportive of the efforts that Women in Data is driving, and thanks to Sudeshna, Sheila from my team who took up this as the initial step. And I just wanted to call out the 6 leaders who are leading the chapters, and there are more, as I heard from the team, that who are in the process of signing up as chapter leads. We have been looking for various folks, be it from our customers, be it from our competitors, be it from our partners, be it from other setups like an IEEE, where we can have some of the women leaders to participate in this. But more importantly, we decided to support this initiative and encourage more volunteering from our teams into the efforts of women in data. And my convener of my diversity and inclusion initiative, Sheila Sukho, has been driving this for me. And we're very happy to see the progress that the team has made in the past few months. And I would definitely love to have them contribute and make a difference to the community as we grow this. So that's all from my side. I wanted to give you this perspective so that each one of you are aware of the aspects around sustainability. The fact that we very strongly believe that there is an opportunity for a setup like Women in Data to participate in it. It is absolutely a business imperative. Those of you who are in the business setup, you can clearly see this as an opportunity to be able to participate into decision making around this, participate at a board level. There are opportunities which could be there. So you can put up your hand and say you have the exposure and experience in this particular thing. Maybe not now, but as you grow in the organization, you have the opportunity to make yourself a very strong candidate. And hence, I feel very strongly that this topic is absolutely relevant for the women in data to nurture, provide the support, and create more partnerships. And as I said, the 17th goal is all about the partnership aspect. And I strongly feel that this setup will play a very significant role as we go forward. So thank you, and I hope I was able to convey the message well. Please feel free to connect with me. I keep sharing a lot of my updates on mostly on LinkedIn, but also on my Twitter handle. So feel free to connect with me or to follow me. You'll see a lot of the posts related to stuff that I'm doing and my teams are doing, being shared. We'd love to interact with you, hear from you. And obviously, Sheila and all the chapter leads are pretty much there to connect with you all and see what more can we do as the things progress further. So thank you, and over to you, Sudeshna.
Sheila,
Dina,
to you.
hi, Dina, Sheila here, and we will now take up questions that have been posted by the team here. And the first question I would like to read out is from Harish, and he says that great that a leader like Dina is taking this up. Congrats to Dina and team. His question is, what is our TCS goal towards being carbon neutral, and how can I contribute to the same?
Yeah, so there are quite a few steps that we have taken towards becoming carbon neutral, and in fact, measurable frameworks is a very critical aspect of this. So you should reach out to Shantanu Ghosh, who is leading this effort for me as part of this effort. And we have been working on the energy related aspects. So you'll be actually happy to know that we've been very focused on many of our campuses, and I did mention about our campus in Pune, a completely green campus. We use all of the solar energy that we generate in our campus. And then we have a very elaborate energy management ecosystem that we have created using our IP. And we're also now offering that to many of our customers and also to within the larger Tata Group setup as well to use that. And it is a very strongly data-driven setup to look at it. A lot of AI, a lot of IoT being deployed in this entire space. So we'll be happy to share with you, Harish.
Thank you, Dina. So we have a message from Rajvi Mehta. She says, this is a very timely conversation and thank you for organizing this. The next one is an anonymous question. This is how, as an individual woman in IT and data, we can spread the words and sense of sustainability to our fellow women who are not as lucky as ourselves to be exposed to the big picture of it as yet, like people in the house who support us or our support workers.
Yeah, I think there are very simple things to do. If you look at these sustainable development goals, the simplest of things could be around water. Okay, and you talk about the amount of wastage of water that happens. Good quality drinking water gets wasted in many homes. what are you doing to ensure that it is not wasted? A very simple step can actually help you. Leaking taps, for example, or ensuring that you reuse water. You use water for your plants and things like that. There are various steps that you can absolutely do. Same is the case with waste. For example, the wet waste that you throw out, how can you actually convert that into compost and stuff like that? So there are various steps which you can do in your homes, and you can actually take that crusade as a challenge for yourself and do it. I have been personally following it. I have been very conscious about electricity usage. Being an electrical engineer, while I have done most of my life, I have never been into electrical engineering related activities, but I have been following up things through the IEEE setup. I regularly read up stuff, what is happening around green energy and various things that are being done. So it is, one is being aware about it, other is putting things into practice. So you would never see me leave a light on in any of my rooms if I don't need it. So it's a lifestyle change one needs to do. So it's, some of these things are leading by example. When you teach your kids, when you teach people around you, I think that makes a lot of difference. And also looking at avenues to improvise, innovate, look at various things that you can do. So there is absolutely a possibility. And things, as I said, it is best done at the youngsters and the young kids. They are very much at an impressionable age. You can actually do sessions for them. So one of our colleagues, he actually does a lot of work in with the young students. We have a large group which runs the student related initiatives as part of the volunteering program. And I've been encouraging them to take sustainability as a topic. And one of the topics on one of the sustainable goals can be picked up and shared. So I think once the kids are able to appreciate it, I think they are able to then take it home as a message, and then they will implement it as well. So I think there is a good amount of potential. There is a lot of hope, and we have seen this in a big way. So there are a lot of crusaders, a lot of champions who are doing good work in this area. And it is good for us to also understand and empathize with people who get impacted. So a person who really values water is a person who is in the drought affected area, and potentially doesn't have water even to wash their hands, and forget about any other things. That is the type of impact that you can probably create by just being aware. So build up connects with people who really are impacted because of some of these things that we have led the planet into. So I think these are the aspects that I would strongly recommend. And data talks for itself. If you look at how much water do we consume on an average, okay, is one data point that we can look at. And then you can look at what does a person in a drought affected area really consumes, and what are their basic needs, and what are they really getting. The other aspect is around quality of water itself. Do you really have good quality water for accessibility and easily accessible water? So various things. It has a very strong data linkage. Once you see data, the empathy and the impact that you can get out of it is something quite different. Okay, so I would strongly look at you to not just do it for the sake of it. One is the lifestyle aspect. Once data is put in front of the problem, I think it really talks without having to put a picture or anything like that. You'll be able to appreciate it much better.
Thank you, Dina. That was a very, very apt answer. We have a question from Himanshu Jain, and he says our current standard of living depends on a use of environmental credit, and that is no longer feasible for future generations. And hence it is imperative to align our solutions with the UN Sustainable Development Agenda. Do you have any suggestions around approaching analytical solutions that help in setting up sustainable healthcare systems, or that focus on supporting a happier, healthier and more inclusive workforce?
It's a very deep topic. Healthcare itself has been a big challenge, and especially given the times that we live in, it has been absolutely a big nightmare for many organizations, many governments and things like that. So I think the healthcare ecosystem has come under tremendous amount of stress, and it is cracking at many places. And we really salute the workers, the healthcare workers, who are really supporting all of the challenging situations. So yes, absolutely, there is a great opportunity, and I would say that whenever we come across these type of situations, there are a lot more ideas, lot more things come up, and I have been very closely involved with some of these initiatives directly and indirectly, and seeing the things that the government has been driving. So yes, absolutely, there is a big potential. Sadly enough, many of us who live in the cities don't necessarily have a feel of what's really happening in places which are rural areas or tribal belts in different parts and very remote areas. How are they getting the best of healthcare? And I've been recently connected with one of the startups which is working in the area of telemedicine. The CEO of the company is actually based in the US. She is doing her PhD in Johns Hopkins University, and she's been leading telemedicine startup, deploying things in rural India. And obviously, there is a lot more things that can be done in this particular area on taking healthcare. And one of the biggest challenges that we will see is about the vaccine itself. Once the vaccine comes out, everybody needs to be vaccinated. How do you actually roll out a vaccination program? We have been doing vaccinations for various other things, be it around malaria, be it around polio, and be it around tuberculosis and various other things. But they are not at that scale. We are not touching the 100% of the population. So how do you actually create that entire ecosystem? And given the concerns that we are seeing, we don't see this as a one-off thing. You'll probably see more such COVID-like situations which will impact the global setup in a big way. So it will absolutely be our responsibility to see what can be done using ecosystems which are there. So when you look at healthcare, one of the biggest impact we had was around the COVID testing kits. The supply chains got impacted. So the sustainability of the supply chains itself was a big issue. The second was the PPE kits itself. How do you ensure that the PPE kits reach the people who are the COVID warriors? And how do you actually get into an agile way of manufacturing those indigenously within the places that we were there, because every transport mechanism was broken down and not working. So there are various things which came up, and I think it really helped us shape up that entire ecosystem as we went on. Moving on to the people side of it, yes, there is, I mentioned in the context of TCS, the work that we have done on the happy workforce, and you'll probably see more things being rolled out over there. There is a lot of opportunity, and I reflect upon a statement that our former chairman, JRD Tata, had made. He said, I don't want to look at India as an economic superpower. I want to look at India as a happy country. And I find that quote very, very apt and very much impactful in what you say. It is about the happiness index. It is about looking at the happy workforce and looking at how we can bring back that in a very, very effective manner, looking at various data points, various data sets which are available, which actually reflect upon the challenges that are being faced by people within our organizations. Definitely there is a good potential. So we've been working very closely, as I mentioned, our entire remote workforce setup that we created had a very strong base of the workforce analytics, and we've been consuming a lot of these data sets and working along with our customers and our partners in shaping this up. Yes, absolutely. It has a very big opportunity as we go forward.
So, Dina, we have another anonymous question, and the question is, what are your thoughts on industry-specific sustainability issues, and how can the analytics and insights contribute towards them?
Yeah, so as I said, it is best to start off with the sustainability report of each of the organizations. Or industry-wide, there are sustainability-related themes that we talked about. So as I said, again, women in data has a very strong role to play in this. In being in the industry, it could be in the banking industry, it could be in the insurance industry, it could be in manufacturing, it could be in the retail industry. So all of these industries have their own sustainability-related goals. And once you look at the 16 goals which are there, and you put yourself in as a representative of that organization that you are in, you'll very clearly see which of those are having an overlap with it. And as some of you might have commitments to the society and play a role in the community, you will probably be able to associate with more of them. So I think it's a opportunity to look at this in a way that you will be able to associate with it and make a difference too.
Thank you, Dina. So I think we have time for another question, and there's a question from Bridget, and she says, very nice presentation. And is there any analytics being done on solar and electrical vehicles?
Yeah, there is. In fact, many of the organizations will look at this as a very serious way, mobility as a topic itself, and then looking at how many of their vehicles will become electric vehicles, and the carbon footprint that they leave behind will be tracked. So you might have seen some recent announcements. Walmart made an announcement about getting Tesla trucks for their entire supply chain enablement. There are many of us who have started using electric vehicles, and it is not just about using electric vehicle, but also looking at where does the electricity that I use to charge my car comes from, and that's the level of awareness that we are creating. And you know, for example, I today charge my car in my car parking lot, parking garage, and you know, I don't know where does the electricity come from, how much percentage of the government provide electricity is green energy. But I would, going forward, I would look at charging my car in my office, because my office has green energy. So I would look at that as a clear-cut sign of saying that I'm personally using green energy all throughout for my car. So I think these are type of things that we need to look at. There is a lot of work which is being done. The utility companies, and Sudeshna is a good example of being part of the industry, and she's been talking about green energy and things like that, which utility companies do about providing you information about what type of energy composition is there and how much of it is green energy versus fossil energy. So there are things which are being done, and I'm sure this area will definitely take leaps and bounds. You know, and I'm aware that IEEE does a lot of work around electric vehicles and in general mobility as a topic, and there are quite a few agencies that I have talked to personally have defined a clear goal for themselves. These are all industry bodies which actually look at pollution related things and various aspects around urban mobility and stuff like that. Definitely looking at this in a very strong way.
Thank you, Dina. One last question before we close. We have a question from Purnendu. How can we do something in plastic and waste material analysis?
Yeah, so there is a good thing to do is to look at organizations which are leading in this particular area. So, for example, if you look at the example that I had given on Unilever, you know, I've been very fortunate to have a good insight into the type of things that they are doing, and they have been partnering. They have been looking at various options, packaging material, for example. They use a lot of plastic. How do you actually look at this? Then there are other organizations which are looking at how do I actually dispose of the plastics that are getting used into something which is very interesting. I saw one of our customers. They are into you know, shipping industry, and wherever their ships go, they are looking at how do they collect the plastic waste which is floating on the oceans, and then they have created a partner ecosystem with one of the manufacturing companies which will convert those waste plastics into something which is more reliable for some other products and stuff like that. So people are creating some things. I think there is a lot of information which is being published. Best for you to look at who is doing research in this area, who is talking about this, and I'm sure you'll find a lot more things in the industry as we go forward.
I think we've just run out of time, and we should close the session for today. So thank you very much, Dina, for this excellent session and the insights into various initiatives undertaken under the sustainability program. I'm sure many would like to be involved and contribute to this agenda now. So I would also like all the participants for this engaging conversation. And thank you, Sudeshna, for enabling this session. Thank you, Women in Data, for this platform to engage with all Women in Data members globally. And TCS is an active, focused and promoting women leaders in the WID program. So thank you very much, and closing the program for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dina. Thanks, everybody.